So when I think of legal advocacy for older victims, I think that one of the advocate's role is to really pay attention to what some of the survivor's needs might be, especially if there's going to be some sort of a criminal court trial, and then to be that mouthpiece or that advocate for that survivor to say to the prosecutor or whoever they're working with within that court system to say, you know, the victim needs to eat every couple of hours, or that, you know, transportation, we're going to need an accessible vehicle because this person uses a wheelchair, or this person is on oxygen and the tank lasts for, you know, 6 hours, so we'll have to make sure we have an extra tank. And so really paying attention to what those needs are so that the courts are very aware of what that survivor is going to need in order to go through that criminal court process. I also think that legal advocacy is a little different for this population because the issues might be different. So making sure that you have training on powers of attorney and guardianships and some of the financial issues that might come up, and go through that criminal process with an older survivor that the perpetrator might be charged with. And additionally, I think when we're thinking about legal advocacy for the older population, you know, if a mandatory report has been made, that victim could be going through that criminal court process not willingly. It's not something they want to see happen, even though that perpetrator is going to be charged. So really being an advocate for that victim, instead of setting up a system where, you know, we have a child who might be abusing, an adult child who might be abusing an adult parent, instead of creating a bond that has no contact between them at all, is there a way you can advocate, if that's what the victim wants, so that you can figure out a safe way for that victim to still have time to visit with their adult child?
Understanding that many of these older individuals have never been in a courtroom and are terrified, and so dealing with that part of the actual process, I think, is important. Again, a legal advocate working with older victims should be well versed in issues that are going to pertain to the older individual. Not so much custody issues, could be divorce, often property settlement. Those are the things that they need information and resources on.
I heard a story in Washington, D.C. I was there last week, and they were talking about that some court hearings in the process may take 8 hours. And I began to think about all of the older victims that I knew that were diabetic, that had mobility issues, that had maybe early onset of dementia, and then be in a situation where they're in a courtroom all day or they're waiting for the process to occur. The ability to have private space in talking to individuals that are legal advocates about having private space for our older victims, like where they can be away from everything else that is going on in the agency, if that's possible in the court process. Having someone there that's going to translate the legal terminology, you know, and allowing that victim's story to be their own, and it's still their words, and we do not change everything that they reported to make it set for our legal terminology, and we lose what the woman is saying. She's sitting there and she doesn't even know who they're discussing, because it's no longer her story, her words. It's her story, their words, and trying to find the best way to work with them, knowing that when the judge is stating things or things that are occurring in a courtroom, asking her or him, do you understand what's being said? And it's essential for that victim advocate and then to work hand in hand with the process. Also, at times, allowing people that they trust to be there. Some proceedings call for no one to be in the room or in the courtroom, having, you know, asking the judge, asking the prosecutor, look, can someone be in there at least for her or him to be able to turn around and see someone that's common to them, that's safe, that does not present a risk of continued abuse or a risk of intimidation or fear for that individual.